What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog. Got another Brawl video for you guys. This one we're looking at a Dimir list that's based around Ashiok, Nightmare, Muse. So typically Ashiok is a nice kind of a control, powerful control finisher, if you will, or just kind of a control piece alongside maybe like a Nicol Bolas or something in a Grixis shell, or even just a powerful way to end games in a very lockdown Dimir control style. But here we're kind of playing a tempo-y flash style deck, and Ashiok just kind of our top end that we can kind of flash into, either create more board presence with the +1, making a 2/3 creature, or more often we're just gonna bounce something back to our opponent's hand. We're just gonna hold this in our command zone until it's relevant. We kind of wear our opponent down of cards with our kind of tempo plays, and then once they get kind of low on cards, then we can just bounce whatever troublesome permanent they have, and hopefully they'll be out of cards, and we can just force them to then exile it. So the -3 is the most common use that we're going to get out of this. It's not really too, we're not too emphasizing Ashiok too much here and trying to play out on turn 5 or, get multiple value out of this. It's more just kind of the top end for our tempo game strategy. So I've kind of found a nice middle ground here between like a all-in on the kind of a tempo aggro style and kind of a more of a Dimir controlling list. So I'll just kind of go down the list real quick, and you can kind of get a feel for what I'm trying to do here. So of course we got the Spectral Sailor. Let's get the Knight of the Ebon Legion, just powerful one-drop. It also works kind of well with the flash theme because we can just attack in with it, and then our opponent doesn't know if we're intending to activate its ability or if we have some other kind of trick we're holding up, especially when it's getting a little bit later on in the game and you potentially have room to activate this and do something else. That's pretty fantastic. We are running just the 20 creatures, and they're all pretty decent, so we're going to run one Omen of the Dead just to make sure we can get back whichever creature we need. And plus it has flash, so it kind of synergizes with some of the other cards that we're running here, like Brineborn Cutthroat, of course, fantastic in the flash style lists. We're also going to be running Faerie Vandal, since we do have a decent amount of card draw here. It's a 1/2 flash flyer. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on Faerie Vandal. So just kind of a nice aggro beatdown option here as well in the air. Another way to kind of protect our creatures here is Keep Safe, counter a spell that targets a permanent you control. Of course, we can also use it to protect our Ashiok or something like that if we need to as well. And we draw a card for 2 mana. That's fantastic. Negate, of course, doesn't really need much explanation. Omen of the Sea. Flash, draw a card, scry. Is great. Starlit Mantle is great because it has flash, and it gives one of your creatures a hexproof and a permanent +1/+1. That's fantastic. Tail's End works really well in the format like a Brawl because you can counter your opponent's commander or any of the other legendary spells, which you're going to be running obviously a fair number of as far as creatures or other planeswalkers. And even the activated and triggered ability, being able to counter that is going to be relevant in certain situations as well. So just flexible cards are always great in Brawl. And Blacklance Paragon, another way for us to kind of be aggressive. Heartless Act, just fantastic instant speed removal for 2 mana. Cunning Nightbonder, of course, 2/2 flash, and makes our spells with flash cost less. Tyrant Score, just fantastic removal. Brazen Borrower, of course. And also running Midnight Clock, since we are just running 24 lands, just kind of gives us another way to kind of a little bit of ramp and some additional mana. And since we can do fine just going into the long game as well, if that goes that way, allows us to kind of shuffle our hand and graveyard into our library and then draw 7 brand new cards. So Midnight Clock just kind of gives us a way to gives us some inevitability here in the late game. Neutralize, of course, fantastic counterspell that we can also cycle away. Sea-Dasher Octopus, another flash creature that can potentially draw us cards if it gets through for damage. Muting it onto Spectral Sailor or something like that is fantastic. Sinister Sabotage, of course, just great counterspell. Vexing Gull, it's a 2/2 flash with flying, so just perfectly fine. You don't really see this played anywhere else, but anytime you can have flying creatures, you're going to have a pretty decent chance to get through, especially with our removal package. A Hired Blade is another creature with flash, so we can kind of either flash this in to kill something on our opponent's attack step, or we can just flash this in on their end step and then just have another creature that's attacking back at them that they were not expecting. And 3 power is pretty decent. Murderous Rider, of course. Ashiok here is a little bit of kind of a graveyard hate for our opponent to exile our opponent's graveyard and potentially shut down any search abilities on their side as well. And another flash payoff here, Slitherwisp, of course. Whenever we cast a spell with flash, we draw a card and they lose a life. Whisper Agent, another kind of the same thing as Hired Blades, a 3/2 with flash. However, this has the upside of being able to surveil once, so we can kind of fix our next draw step. And having the Dimir hybrid mana also is a little more flexible with the casting cost. Chemist's Insight, just nice repeatable card draw here. Sphinx of Foresight is another way for us to kind of get through in the air, and then the Scry effect, both on our beginning of our upkeep at the start of the game, and on subsequent upkeeps after we've cast this. Just gives that extra little bit of card selection so we can kind of find the pieces, removal, creatures, whatever we need to close out games. Dirge Bat, of course, flash flying, and with the mutate, we can destroy creatures or planeswalkers is fantastic. E2 Extinction, of course, to hit our opponent's commander or whatever troublesome creature or planeswalker they have. Pouncing Shoreshark, just another kind of nice tempo play, flash, and then mutate it to bounce a creature back to its opponent's hand. And Thryx, another flash effect, 4/5 flying, and our spells with 5 or more mana cost 1 less to cast, and they cannot be countered, so that's fantastic. And any other versus any kind of a similar deck. And Voracious Greatshark, another counter spell here with flash, 5/4 creature as well, counter an artifact or a creature. And Dream Eater is also pretty sweet here, being able to flash us in as 4/3 flyer, surveil 4. So great card selection here in the late game, and then being able to bounce any troublesome permanent on our opponent's side, any non-land permanent, so planeswalkers, creatures, whatever. And then of course Lochmere Serpent, a 7/7 with flash at 6 mana is great, and we can make it so this can't be blocked, or we can just sacrifice swamps to gain life if we're just flooding out like crazy. And then of course at the tail end here we got Fastest Intervention, which we can use as either a counter spell or a card draw. Alright, so lands here, we got the Castle Vantress and then 9 islands. We got a Castle Lochthwain and then 8 swamps. And we got these other non-basics here in the Dismal Backwater, Temple of Deceit, Watery Grave, the Command Tower of course, and Fabled Passage. Alright, so we're trying to play as many untapped sources as we can, so we're not trying to be all in on like guild gates and things like that. We have some pretty decent card draw and some flexible mana costs, so don't think we need to be too playing too many of the tap lands. Just want to try to be as flexible as we can with our mana base, but still having making sure that we can cast whatever spells we want, counter spells or whatever. So let's jump into some Brawl matches, and alright, up against Cheville. Sweet. Just ran a Cheville list last week. We have the removal and some counter spells, so sure. Always a creature. Of course, they're running a ton of removal themselves. So it should be interesting. I'd rather go for the Cheville. Let's just kill it. Let's see what we do next turn. So we have the Gull that we can flash in, or the Faerie Vandal. So now we have double black open for Murderous Rider, depending on what they play here. Poison Beast is a good murdering, good target to murder. Just save the Rider for later. We have plenty of good flash spells in hand, counter spells. Vivian. Yeah, I think we want to keep that off the board. We don't want them playing at flash speed. We're the flash deck. Well, missed a land drop, but it's alright. Still have some playable cards. So, missing boar, sure. Let's go and destroy that. Get our Vandal down. Let's see what we draw. Castle, that's pretty decent. Alright, so good. Let's hold up our flash spells. We have protection here in the mantle, and we also have the flash Vexing Gull. We kind of flex with our flash flyers. So no Cheville, so they're holding up a removal themselves, but that's fine. We have the protection if we need. And yeah, I think giving ourselves hexproof from Murderous Rider, so Murderous Rider does nothing and just goes to the bin is perfect. And we even have a keep safe open. So yeah, let's go and drop the Rider now, and then hold up and keep safe. And nothing else, we can Ashiok next turn, or just E2 Extinction. So we're in a decent spot. We still have plenty of cards in hand though. And you know Cheville deck is running plenty of removal, so we don't care about that. Spawn is pretty nasty. I guess we eat the spawn. Even though we're a little bit shields down. Omen is fine. And we'll just attack with the flyers. Just keep the Rider back as protection for our Ashiok. Massacre Girl. Clears the board. I swear, my opponent always has that exactly when they need it. It's so dumb. The exact mix of creatures, you can actually do the Massacre Girl thing.
To overcome your fear.
It's such a cool card though, but man, it's like every time I play it, it just doesn't do anything. Okay, 4 mana Cheville. Shoreshark, of course, doesn't really do much, but now we have a 2/3 creature down it can mutate onto. Well, let's see what they do here. Counter on our token, sure. Just Massacre Girl here again, but she doesn't do anything, but she'll gives them a 4/4. Oops, not what I wanted to play there. That's fine. 3/2 Whisper Agents. Okay. So you can attack in if you want. Nope. Gotta make another token.
All your fears are given.
We have 6 mana, so we have 1 play open to us. Either way. Could attack, but then it doesn't really do anything with Cheville. We'll just hold up the Dream Eater and Shoreshark and see what our opponent does. Vivian. Bounce with the Dream Eater, but probably better just bounce the token and then fly in and kill it. They choose Vigilance, sure. So just flash in Dream Eater, bounce the token so it goes away, and then the flying. Wow, that's a pretty juicy set of cards. Do we even want? Probably don't need Swamp. I mean, Night is never a bad card. I think we'll just leave those 3. Take that action. So here we could bounce Cheville as well. Pretty medium. How many lands we got? 1, 2, 3. Yes, we can Slitherwisp and and Shoreshark mutate as well.
That's it. I'm done.
Let's go ahead and Ashiok and bounce it since we do have enough loyalty. I could have done that before combat and attacked, but it's fine. Pretty much on control mode here, just take things nice and slow. Flashing Slitherwisp. So they have some instant speed effect here. We'll mutate onto you. Draw a card. Take the over. Right, our opponent packs it in. Sweet. Yeah, sometimes you can be nice and aggressive, and sometimes you just have to play it nice and slow and controlling. Obviously against a very grindy Golgari list like Cheville, we ended up in a kind of a more of a slow and steady as she goes kind of a play. But we were able to just kind of outvalue them with our bounce and removal effects. Jump into one more against Feather. Alright, so we just need lots and lots of removal to keep Feather off the board. Otherwise they're just going to recast it every single time. So we have the Heartless Act at least. Hopefully we can find some more. We just need to make sure we hold up Heartless Act on this Feather. If they go for on turn 3, then we kill it immediately, obviously. If they're smart, they will wait until they have a protection spell. Just flash in this Faerie Vandal. Nice thing about Feather in Brawl is it's just one of. I'll play the tap land since we're probably just holding up a removal or a counter spell here. War Boss is pretty nasty. I mean, the agent can deal with it. So maybe we just let that. War Boss is too much. Just kill it now. Don't then keep making tokens. We don't have sweepers in our deck. We just have lots and lots of spot removal. Ashiok really does much here. I think we'll just hold up the Negate and Whisper Agent. So now they can Feather. See what it gets. Menace. Flash in our Whisper Agent. Surveil. That's fine. We can put it on the put it on the Faerie Vandal. Attack all. They're not going to block with their giants. Go ahead, mutate. I'll take the over. 2/2 is better than a 1/2. Draw a card. Sweet. There's a land. Still no reason to Ashiok at this point. Just hold up in the Starlit Mantle. They do have a good Feather here. As long as we're in Dimir colors and we hold up mana, then we can always make them think that we have answers for Feather, and we slow them down. Dragonfire. Okay, give the hexproof and a nice +1/+1 boost. Take an attack in for 3, no problem. I think we're in a spot where we can kind of race them a little bit. Negate. So we draw. Vessel Ventress. So again, no reason to play Ashiok, which is hold open mana, make them think we have something. They can play around counter spells and removal. Rakdos. We do have the Lochmere Serpent. They have protection from everything but 3. So the Whisper Agent can kill it. So let's go and attack in if they want to block. Play Ashiok, but just dies to Rakdos. So we draw. Dream Eater's pretty good. So we can flash in the Serpent or Dream Eater. So we're taking 6 from Rakdos and 3 from the Giant. Or potentially 4. Period's pretty nasty. And Tajik. So we can Dream Eater and bounce something here. Okay, hold open the counterspell on the feather. Let's bounce the giant before it gets hexproof. And if they want to attack in for 9, that's fine. We're attacking in for 13. So I think we're okay. God, sweet. Alright, so there you saw up against the Cheville deck, we got into a very grindy matchup and we take a more controlling approach. And there against the aggro matchup, we were actually able to be the aggressor. So yeah, it's a pretty fun list. Has a nice kind of balance between control and kind of tempo aggro elements. Obviously you can kind of tweak it depending on which flavor you prefer. But yeah, kind of like it just like there right in the middle. It's pretty fun. So yeah, thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Alright, take care.